Well, hello there, world. Bettina Carey here, and we're live on Rainier Avenue Radio, where we help you to shatter glass ceilings right down to the floor. And if you've been looking for a way to shatter yours, you've come to the right place. This week, I have a returning guest, Master Nigel Henry, and his life purpose is activating and unleashing the greatness in people. A few weeks back, maybe now a couple of months back, I got to experience going over some of Master Nigel's philosophy, framework, and offerings when I attended his 5-day financial miracle challenge. And boy, I was impressed, I have to say. I was in one of those situations when I had more money than time. And so I had come to find a little bit of time in my schedule to do this 5 days, because that's quite a commitment in my books. And I experienced a life-altering change that hit me right in the financial pocketbook. And it was record-setting for the history of my company. And so I'm really excited to be welcoming back Master Nigel Henry. And he's typically working directly one-on-one behind the scenes with me, the chief or the ambitious, highly gifted, extraordinary, out-of-the-box individual who has desires or intentions of becoming the number one, the greatest, or the disruptor in my industry or profession, while making a massive beneficial change in the world. And today we're going to actually be exploring one of my favorite topics that Master Nigel brought to my attention, and that is your voice is your moneymaker. Master Nigel's service, for which he is highly compensated, is engaging his clients, in particularly me, in a proprietary form of thinking methodology called activation conversations. This typically results in me experiencing sudden, massive explosions in my mastery performance and in my capacity for sourcing and contributing insane amounts of value at ludicrous speeds. And I kid you not, that is absolutely true. Master Nigel's activation conversations covers the full gamut of my world, including my life's calling, global impact, business performance, health, relationships, and personal lifestyle. So what we're going to be doing today is diving deep into using your voice as your moneymaker. And I see that Master Nigel Henry has not arrived quite yet. So let me explore a little bit about what I experienced when I attended the Financial Miracle Challenge. My first one was in June, I believe, of last year, and I've done them all the way through earlier this year, once a month, because they are so impactful. So it looks like Master Nigel is here. Let's go ahead and welcome him. It's so great to have you back. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And here you are, Master
Hi.
Nigel Henry.
Can you
Good
hear
to
me?
see you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Good to
you.
see you. Oh, great. My internet is delayed here, so I'm just going to speak. I can hear you, but I can't. It's the visual is slowed down for some reason.
Yes.
But yes, we'll be talking about voice as the moneymaker. Yes, I'm
Yes,
ready
and
to go.
you planted the seed and the idea that my voice is my moneymaker on our very first call that we had last year. And it was a wake-up call because I had never quite looked at the voice as the moneymaker in my lifetime, but I was in fact using my voice all the time to make money. And so we're going to explore this content with your Wi-Fi just a little bit slow. We'll have to be careful to stop and start so that we don't interrupt each other. So go ahead and
Okay.
share with us, what do you mean by your voice is your moneymaker?
Yes. If we look at people, just look at the world, most people are trained, when we're growing up, it's like, go and get a job so you can get to make money and pay bills. And when we say go and get a job, in some cases, like go and get a skill where like you can use your hands and make something like a bricklaying or roofer or, a carpenter or electrician, right? The trade.
Right.
So we're taught that we have a skill that we use to make money. And then maybe that you'll be in a home where they say, you got to be a doctor or a lawyer or a professional. And that's how you make your money, from what you do. And so a lot of people ask people like, what do you do? And they say, well, I do doctoring or I do this, and that's how I make my living. And what I discovered is that no, you can actually be the expert in what you do and still not make a living. You can actually, I can do electrician work or engineering and not get paid for it. How do I get paid? Or artists, a classic is artist. The artist is beautiful paintings and downloading, and they spend all this time perfecting their craft, but they could actually be broke. So what is it? Isn't it that they're not working hard enough? No, it turns out that unless the voice is added to my craft, there is no money that exchange. Even my job, unless I talk in the interview and negotiate my salary is actually being set by someone else, or I can negotiate how much I make. So what you look at in every trade, and it's much more evident in businesses, because there's only one department that actually makes any money. In all businesses, marketing, operations, accounting, all these things are expenses. They cost money, but the only one that brings in money is the sales department. And guess what you got to have in the sales department to make money?
A voice.
Voice. And they say the gift of the gab. So based on paying attention, it's like, wait a minute, every dollar that I have in my account, every single dollar got there because of something I said. And people like say, Nigel, you might have, what about passive income? At some point, you've got to negotiate the purchase of the asset, and you've got to set it up with your voice and make some agreements, which is voice, and that allows the cash flow to flow however you do it. But basically, at least in my business, every single dollar that I make is come from talking to someone and allowing the money to flow into my account. I hope that makes sense so far.
Totally. And it goes a little bit deeper than that, or a lot deeper than that, because I know that when I'm using my voice to be the moneymaker, I can't be silent, Deep. Right? I can show up and use my voice wherever it is that I am, as opposed to staying silent, or as opposed to being the student. Can you break down for what is the penalty or the cost to being on the planet as a student, as opposed to being on the planet as a voice?
Yes. Just to help the listeners get in touch with that real quick, I hope everyone's heard of student debt. Isn't it strange that people go to college and spend all that money and come out with a debt? And I've never heard about professor debts and lecturer debt, right? I've never heard about Harvard University going broke, or any university for that matter. They are a money-making machine, but the students come out with less money than they went in with. This is because of the way that we're taught in schools and generally in learning institution, which is that as soon as a child starts going to school, the first thing we say, be quiet, sit down and listen. And as soon as you tell a child to be quiet, you're saying, turn off your moneymaker. And as far as I can see, turn on your listening devices, which are your expenses. So the reason, the energetic or spiritual principle behind it is that value flows through and out of us. So value flows out of us. And the relationship between money and value is that value goes out and money comes in. So if I'm a consumer of value, which is what education is, I'm spending money. Money's going out all the time. A student is always studying and taking in new knowledge and new that. But yes, that's value. Yes, if you take it in, money's going to go out. But the professor or the teacher or the person on the stage is putting out value out. They're speaking speaking is the vehicle for delivering value. And when value's going out, money's coming in. So I'm sure you've been to all these webinars and live events where the speaker is on the stage and he's talking, and then at the end of it he says, I'm going to make an offer, and there's a mad rush to the back of the room where all the audience who's been listening rush to spend their money, and all that money goes into the student. I mean the teacher, the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And it just turns out that speaking is the highest paid profession, if you like, on earth. Everyone that is making money is doing some talking. Most of the time, the regular, normal person doesn't see it this way, because the big deals are done at the high level, where they're talking about $100 million. They're done in boardroom where wealthy people are sitting and negotiating, talking to each other, and setting up $1 trillion deals in the back room. But they have to talk, and it's called negotiating. I hope I'm going. Is that too deep?
No, that's not too deep. That's not too deep at all. And what's interesting is that the other thing that abuts speaking is that this is one of the fears that people have, is the fear of public speaking. It's probably the number one fear. So if you have a fear of speaking, you have a fear of using your voice, then making money can be a problem. Would you not say that?
Exactly. Isn't that a paradox? Isn't that? It's almost like we've been misconditioned, because the thing, for example, that is called fear, when we examine it, is actually what I call turbo. It's the power to make money. And the more powerful the speaking is the more money I make. This is where the motivational speakers come from. A lot of these, what do you call it, speakers in churches, where they fiery, the more power they put out is the faster, the more revenue their voices bring in. And yet we've been trained or conditioned to believe that speaking is a fear. It's actually an excitement. And once people get past that initial conditioning, then they'll love speaking. And that's why we see such a big explosion on the internet and social media, where a lot of people are now making money online. And to do that, you've got to put out your voice online. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. And I'm loving the fact that we're facing both of these opportunities, right? The opportunity to look fear as turbo, and the opportunity to look at your voice as your moneymaker. Those two combined is what I worked with you on, and then became the money, as you say.
Exactly.
I am the money.
Now there's
Just
a
show me the
related
money, but
thing.
I am the money.
There's a related thing. So we talked about voice is the delivery of value. You got to speak more. Well, listening works. You notice we have two ears, and there's no volume controller on the ears. So people go, Nigel, you have to be a good listener. You're born a good listener. You have two ears, and there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is ignore listening, but listening is going to happen. What we can control, or been trained to shut down, is speaking. And that's the thing I say. It's time to crank up the speaking and making sure that we provide value. So this is what we focus on in the Financial Miracle Challenge, where we say, first of all, there is unlimited amount of value that can pour through someone's temple and out of their mouth. There is no limit to it. And it is possible to make $100 million in an hour. In fact, one of my mentors has that record, 4.5 million in 90 minutes talking from the stage. So that just shows us what's possible from just speaking. So one of the things that affects speaking is the words themselves. Whether the word contains what we call virus or no virus, that will determine how much value people are receiving when I'm speaking. So during the Financial Miracle Challenge, we actually keep an eye on the quality of the words coming out. Then another factor is the questions we ask also determines the way that we speak and the speed of the value that comes out. And so this is when Bettina said, I am the money. What the question she was answering is, who is the money? Or another great one is, who has my money? And those questions cause us to think more strategically about who we're going to talk to and what we say to that person that would cause them to give value. And then in terms of talking about your avatar and the message that they're listening for. Again, in the Financial Miracle Challenge, we address these factors. Another thing that affects. So go ahead.
I was going to say, in summary, what you're saying is when value goes out, money comes in. When you are exchanging value with someone, they exchange money with you generally. So that's the nature of the game, right? And this, as you know, as you've described, it comes from the heart, right? So the value going out from the heart is the highest level of value that anybody can give. And then the value coming back is generally in the form of money. It can also be in the form of trade. It can be in the form of
value
goods,
itself,
products, anything. But at the end of the day, most of the time, it's in the form of money. So let me turn my attention now to this activating this unique style of communication that you call activational speaking. And if you were paying attention, audience, I actually beeped myself in the very beginning when I used the word can't, because that is a word that is downward energy, not upward energy. And so to recognize that I'm aware that I used a word that is not beep. See, the word not is a beep word. That I'm changing my language as I'm speaking. So talk a little bit about this activation, and then let's also let our producer know what website they can go to look at this graphically about the value going in and the money going out. And you can type that in the chat.
Let me see. I can type it in.
Yep.
Let's see.
In the chat, just to the right.
Yes, I see it. So I'm just going to say it for the listeners, greatnessactivation.com. My screen is frozen for some reason, but it's greatnessactivation.com/FMC, Financial Miracle Challenge. Greatnessactivation.com. Oh, okay. I've got it. My screen's active now. Anyway, FMC. That's where we do a 5-day intensive challenge where we actually challenge the participants to make as much money as possible in 5 days. The activational speaking is that the first thing where each participant is required to do is to actually talk. There are a lot of online webinar programs where you're sitting and listening and taking notes. In this thing, we actively speak notes. We call them bank notes. You talk and the value come out your mouth. Oh, bank note, how much is that worth? And we actually generate money from speaking. And then the value in the heart is infinite, but it's restricted as it's coming out through the mind. The mind is where all these limitations are coming from. And we can spot the limitations by the limiting words that are spoken. We call them virus-infected words because they shrink down the value, just constrict and reduce the amount of value that I'm putting out in my speech. And that is reflected by the cash flow measurement from the audience. So, so the activation means literally I am speaking with intention of actively generating money from talking. And therefore, talking is the primary behavior in the group. And we're doing it in a Zoom setting. And typically, a lot of people come to a Zoom setting and they listen to the speaker. In our setting, the audience is the speaker. And we are looking at the way that we can, what emotions are coming up as we speak. Interestingly enough, a lot of emotions come up when people begin to speak. Some people have never heard their own voice spoken in such a way where it makes a difference.
Yes. And so the form that just came up, which is the um, form that folks can
Application.
go to if they're interested
Yeah.
in the Financial Miracle Challenge, which you have coming up in August. But you also do these periodically. So if you're listening to this show another time, you're going to want to go to greatnessactivation.com/FMC for Financial Miracle Challenge. And tell us a little bit more about this process of signing up, because it's not for the faint of heart. I will tell you that right now. That's a beep word, not. It is for people who
Yeah.
actually understand the differences between if and versus when, not versus can, do versus try, and if you're willing to play the game with us, I'm sure you'll benefit greatly. So once someone completes the first name, last name, email, and phone number in the entry form, where do they go from there? What is the first step for them before they get
Um,
selected to participate?
yes, as you're rightly saying, it is an intense program. It's for the brave and the courageous. We prefer people who have no relationship with victims. We are here to push the capacity of human performance to the highest level. So we work on the intense and hazardous conditions that most people would never do, like public speaking. And we are intentional. So the application form is to make sure that the future participant is aware of how intense it's going to be and how committed they are to their financial miracle that they intend to work, and what are they willing to give up and release so that they can experience themselves at their greatest. So once someone applies like that, they in fact, to apply, to screen out the tire kickers, we make them pay $97 just to apply. And if they fail to meet the criteria, then we refund the $97. Otherwise, we then use that deposit to go towards the FMC actual program fee. So we're really screening for people who are committed, performance, high intensity. I mean, Bettina is our best performing participant so far. So if you're like Bettina, you love this. You love challenges. You love shifting the financial ceiling that you might have hit. You love money, and you love knowing that you can move money just by shifting the way that you actively and intentionally speak. I hope that makes
I love
sense.
it. Absolutely. So we're running out of time, but I wanted you to just give me one final thought, maybe in 30 seconds or thereabouts.
Well, I'll just leave them as a series of thoughts. Human beings are value channels. We are here on earth to channel value into the world. And the path that it takes, the value, is from our hearts, through our minds, and out of our mouth. And if we can clean the mind, then the path to the mouth will be so clear channel, that the value coming out of my mouth is so high. So this intention is to actively clear the mind so that the voice can represent the mind on loudspeaker, which is a value delivery vehicle.
Yes.
Oh,
And one of the most prominent voices ever was Martin Luther King Jr., and he was speaking from the mountaintop. And this is a reference that you also cover in the Financial Miracle Challenge. And when I speak from the mountaintop about what I'm doing with We Empower You, the community, and the global connection, the website, and all of that, I absolutely feel the difference. So that said, you have been a speaker at one of our summits, several of our summits actually, You
Mm-hmm.
also have been part of the We Empower You community as a presenter, and you're available through, again, this process and this journey of the Financial Miracle Challenge. We're so excited that you have come into our world. We're talking about the foundation of founding of the We Empower You global community, the WeEmpowerYourLife.com website, and the We Empower You Global Summit, which is coming up on September the 14th and December the 14th thereafter. And we can't wait to have you back, Master Nigel Henry. It's been so great to have you here today, and lots of learning to be had as we move into the future. Our next show coming up is at 2 p.m. is going to be Afternoons with Monique. She's on episode 103, and it will be live. That's all for our show today. Thank you, Master Nigel Henry. And for those of you watching and listening, be sure to share, comment, and show us some love on Rainier Avenue Radio. See you all next week. Bye for now. Coaching is a noble profession, but in these current tumultuous times, so many talented coaches are finding that they simply cannot connect with people that they could be helping. And people need our help more than ever these days. That is why I conceived the We Empower You Global Community and Global Virtual Summit. I'm Bettina Carey, and I'm inviting you to join with some of the world's leading empowerment coaches, trainers, authors, mentors, and thought leaders for our upcoming We Empower You Global Virtual Summit. There's an old adage and saying that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. It is in that spirit of togetherness that we aim to help connect more talented coaches to the people that they might help. Join us for free and share your knowledge in this Find Wealth by Giving endeavor. And there isn't a hidden fee or big sales pitch at the end. You will be shoulder to shoulder with some of the world's best thought leaders, newsmakers, and game changers. And you will see for yourself exactly what the We Empower You global community and membership is all about. It's a blend of altruism and business, to be sure. This endeavor is audacious, and we hope to plant seeds that take deep roots. So we need you. If you have a goal of helping others reach and achieve that next rung, if your work aids in lifting people out of self-limiting beliefs, if you're ready to fix the world one client at a time, or spread your message to the masses, you're welcome to join us for our We Empower You Global Summit. Tickets are free, but RSVP is required. Scan the QR code if you're watching on TV, or go to our website at WeEmpowerYourLife.com and click on the Summit Tickets tab to get more information and to claim your free Zoom admission ticket. We empower you. Together we will go far.